It all started at a police station, a scene like a chaotic marketplace. I saw a stoned guy, eyes rolling, having a withdrawal fit in the middle of the station. A dozen cops crowded around, helpless, like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. He was screaming, thrashing, as if possessed, and then the hero appeared. "That's me, Danny." Without many words, I quietly offered a bottle of soda. As if by magic, the guy suddenly became as docile as a puppy. The cops were stunned, mouths agape. They'd struggled for ages, and I just needed a soda to handle it smoothly. Quite an impressive entrance, wasn't it? When things calmed down, I sat opposite the petty criminal. This guy was a local, knew quite a bit about the underworld. I pulled out a thick wad of cash, an offer that could change his life forever. "Take the money and give me the name of the boss of the operation." The allure of money was too strong, he nodded frantically, sealing the deal. Immediately after, I went to find an old acquaintance, a delivery guy named Chris. We had a bond, but business is business. I told him straight, "Help me set up the big boss, or you're going to jail." A painful backstab, but Chris understood. You have to be cunning to catch a snake. He agreed. The next day, the small fry came to pick up the goods from Chris. As planned, an accident happened. Their car collided with a fancy sedan. One of the guys in the group seemed to have a sixth sense or something. He yelled, "Go!" and hit the gas. But it was too late, darling. My cops swarmed in like a disturbed beehive, blocking the front and trapping the rear. The scene that followed was more action-packed than any movie. A complete chaos. Those punks were decent drivers, though. Thought you could escape, huh? I, Danny, descended from the sky, driving my Hummer straight into them. I blocked their escape route, and with a smile, rounded up all three. You should know who I am. After the chase, I leisurely returned to the station, tossing the promised wad of cash to the addict from earlier. That's when my true identity was revealed. I'm a badong, a professional informant, living a double life on the border between the law and the underworld. But 3 years ago, I was just a regular taxi driver. I had to toil day and night just to save up for an important goal. One night, I picked up a heavily intoxicated passenger. He offered me an energy drink, telling me to drink it to stay awake. Little did I know, that was when my life took a completely different turn. That drink was laced with drugs. Waking up, I found a dozen cops cuffing me. I was set up, becoming a pawn for a crime I didn't commit. In prison, my life was hell. It was sink or swim, and I was sinking fast. The other inmates, led by a hardened gangster named Baron, made me their target. Baron was the kingpin in prison, running a drug empire from behind bars. Meanwhile, outside, there was a low-level prosecutor named Wallace. He was sick and tired of this rotten system. His desk was piled high with files, and every day was a nightmare facing the endless stream of addicts. He compared them to cockroaches. One day, a real cockroach crawled onto his desk, and he had a stroke of genius. To kill cockroaches, you had to find their nest. And to find the nest, you had to release another cockroach into it. That cockroach was me. Wallace knew I was different, knew I was just a pawn. He tested my memory and was astonished by my ability to recall every detail. He made me a deal. He'd help me get out of prison, and in return, I had to be his informant. The mission was to monitor Baron and his entire operation. I, a desperate man wanting to escape this earthly hell, agreed without hesitation. It was a deal with the devil, and the beginning of my new life, a yadang. Back in prison, I started to work. I gradually gained the Baron's trust. I am a shapeshifter by nature. With Wallace's help, I took down anyone who dared to cross the Baron, quickly establishing a reputation as a wild beast. In no time, I was a core member of the gang. I learned all the secrets and reported every conversation to Wallace. Before long, Wallace had all he needed to obtain an arrest warrant, and in the blink of an eye, the Baron was apprehended, his empire crumbling. I became a free man, and Wallace's career skyrocketed. We grew closer than ever, a perfect duo with a bond stronger than blood. Wallace had found the brother he never knew he needed. Back in the present, a young actress named Leslie is in deep trouble. She's been arrested for drug use and is being interrogated by Police Chief Sean. She's trembling, insisting she didn't know what she was drinking, believing it was just weight loss pills. Sean has seen it all, and he's not easily fooled. But something about her story gives him pause. He looks at a photo on her phone and recognizes the man in it. He knows Leslie is just a pawn in a game she doesn't even know she's playing. He made her an offer she couldn't refuse. He would let her go if she revealed her boss's name. At the same time, Wallace and I were celebrating his promotion. I raised my glass and gave Wallace a gift, a new lead on another case. It was a blue crystal drug that was wreaking havoc on the streets. I mentioned a name, a brutal gangster named Harry. And just like that, we had our next target. Unexpectedly, Harry was the one who gave Leslie the, quote, diet pills. He was also the one Sheriff Sean was after. At the same time, Harry was meeting with a North Korean smuggler named Janice in an abandoned warehouse. The atmosphere was extremely tense. Harry's goons looked ready to start a fight at any moment. Their hands were on their weapons, ready to take down anyone who got in their way. They were a ruthless bunch, and clearly not to be trifled with. The deal done, Harry got in his car and sped off. While driving, his phone rang. It was me pretending to be a friend, a voice from inside, trying to help him escape Sean. I told him to head for the train station. It was his only chance to get away. Then, I sped off, shaking Sean's team, buying Harry a few extra minutes. But it was all a charade. By the time Harry reached the station, he was greeted by Sean's team, guns drawn, ready to snatch him up. But then, a train arrived, and as it stopped, Wallace and his crew materialized out of nowhere, ready for an arrest. Harry was trapped, a snake caught in its own snare. In the back seat of the car, Harry was in complete panic. Wallace and I were hitting him from all sides, a two-pronged punch that left him dazed. We didn't need a confession. We wanted bigger fish. Wallace offered a deal. He'd go easy on Harry if he helped catch the kingpin, the one truly pulling the strings. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, Chief Sean got a tip from his informant, Leslie. She tipped him off about a private party at a luxury hotel, a gathering of the city's elite, including Nathan, son of a presidential candidate. The whole thing was a ticking time bomb. As the party began, Wallace, I, and our team were in position and ready. But this time, we also had Harry and his goons with us. I wore a pair of high-tech glasses with a hidden camera, a secret weapon that would record every detail of that night. I was right in the eye of the storm, recording everything, from Leslie's anxious appearance to Nathan's smug expression. Just as the party reached its peak, Chief Sean and his team burst in, guns drawn. But he was a step too late, missing the golden opportunity to catch the high-ranking criminals red-handed. He was completely devastated, furious that Wallace had beaten him to it. It was a complete disaster. And worse, his informant, Leslie, was caught in the crossfire, high on drugs. When Nathan was arrested, the real game truly began. The presidential candidate, Nathan's father, immediately sent his top lawyer to Wallace's office. This lawyer was a venomous snake, offering Wallace a lucrative promotion and a life of power and prestige. It was a deal with the devil, and Wallace, who had always presented himself as a man of integrity, quickly revealed his true colors. He accepted without hesitation, his thirst for power overriding everything else. His first act of betrayal was to call and order Harry to get the camera glasses from me. Harry and his cronies were no pushovers. They hunted me down and attacked without hesitation. The fight was brutal. Harry's men used every dirty trick to snatch the glasses. I was beaten to a pulp, even run over by their car. At the same time, Sheriff Sean was arrested for a crime he didn't commit. A perfect play staged by the very people who sent Harry after me. Just as I was about to pass out, Harry injected me with a powerful dose, and as I fell to the ground, he lit a lighter and burned my leg. He was like a demon-possessed man, a sadist who didn't care about the consequences. With the footage in hand, he left me there to die. 3 months passed, and I was a shadow of my former self. A full-blown addict, a pawn in a game I didn't even want to play. After that horrific night with Harry, my body was shattered, my mind a battlefield. But I wasn't alone. My old friend Chris was by my side, helping me through the withdrawal. A true friend, who never abandoned me. I was alive, but a wreck, haunted by betrayal and consumed by a burning rage for Harry. I vowed revenge, no matter the cost. At the same time, in a packed courtroom, Sean was finally free. The verdict was in. Not guilty, his name finally clear. His wife and daughter wept, embracing him in celebration of their long-awaited freedom. But joy was short-lived. A viper from the opposing political campaign approached him, offering a deal to bring down Nathan's father. Sean saw through their scheme. He wasn't interested in revenge. He just wanted to be with his family and live a peaceful life. He refused the offer, a true testament to his character. Meanwhile, Leslie was in her new environment. The girl who was once a pampered star was now a hardened informant, working for herself. That night, she was on a mission, a true chameleon. She got the information she needed and was making her escape when she ran into me. Then I tasered her and took her away unconscious. Late that night, I found Sean. Sean's blood ran cold. He recognized my face, the face of the man he thought had set him up. In a fit of rage, he threw a punch, connecting squarely with my jaw. Leslie materialized out of nowhere, stopping Sean from throwing another punch. The three of us stood there in silence, a tangled mess of emotions, until Leslie finally ushered us all into a private room. I pulled up my pant leg, revealing my burned legs, a nightmare proving I was a victim too, just like them. In that room, I revealed the whole scheme. I told them Harry was a monster, a drug kingpin who now had an entire army, including the North Korean trafficker Janice. I explained that we were all being used, pawns in a much bigger game. We talked for a long time, and by the end of the night we formed a, quote, dream team. Our plan was simple. Sean and I will hunt down Harry for the footage, the only evidence that can bring him down. Meanwhile, Leslie will infiltrate a party hosted by Nathan to get more footage and settle this game once and for all. The next day, Sean and I arrived at the doorstep of Janice, the North Korean smuggler. Janice was a woman of few words, and she wasn't interested in our small task. But when she heard the target was Harry, her attitude changed. She had a personal vendetta against him. She agreed to join our team and laid out Harry's entire smuggling operation. She explained that the drivers were creatures of habit and would always stop at the same diner before every run. This was our golden ticket, the perfect opportunity to bring Harry down for good. Wasting no time, the two of us headed to the diner to find our target. As soon as we arrived, we spotted the driver. He was a brute, and with him was Harry's right-hand man. It was him. But then a black sedan pulled up, and Harry stepped out. Sean's blood ran cold. He lost his temper, and his mind went haywire. He charged forward, a lone wolf, completely disregarding the plan, turning the place into chaos. The restaurant was now a battlefield, with Sean alone against Harry's henchmen. Meanwhile, Harry was trying to escape, but he ran into me. We confronted each other, a fight to the death between two sworn enemies. In the end, Harry was captured. We took him down, and from him, we got the camera footage, our golden ticket. At the same time, Leslie was putting on a show. She was at the party Nathan was hosting, and the place was a circus. She was a master of her craft, and despite being high, she documented every detail, from the faces of the most powerful men in the country to drug deals happening right before her eyes. As I was celebrating my victory, I realized a painful truth. A devastating blow left me stunned. I discovered that the one who had caused me all this suffering was Wallace, my brother, my friend, the man I had trusted with my life. Unbeknownst to Sean and I, Wallace was one step ahead of us. One of Sean's team members was a spy, a mole within our organization, and he told Wallace everything. Wallace knew we were coming for him. He immediately called Nathan, warning him that Leslie was an informant. But Leslie was too quick. She escaped with Chris. As Leslie and Chris drove away, Sean called them, his voice filled with relief. He told them they had made it, that they would finally be free. Sean suddenly brought up the case that had taken everything from Leslie, and he showed the most contrite face, but suddenly Chris's car was hit by a speeding truck. Things got worse. Leslie was seconds away from death. Nathan's men appeared, took her phone, and ended her life. Sean and I arrived at the scene and were completely devastated, our hearts broken by the loss of our friend and the evidence she carried with her. Sean was so angry he looked possessed, his voice full of rage, as he told me that Leslie and Chris's death would not be in vain. We needed a new plan, something that would hit Wallace where it hurt the most. I, seeing the look in Sean's eyes, decided to use the only thing we had left, the hotel footage. I sent it to Wallace as bait, a single line to catch a shark, and it hit home. The two of us finally met, and it was the darkest moment of the film. I looked into the eyes of the man I once called brother, only to see the face of pure evil. Wallace didn't even try to hide it. He saw me as a pawn, a petty criminal who had somehow gotten in his way. The next day, I met with Janice. Sean was planning to hand over the footage to Nathan's rival, a move that would sink an entire presidential campaign. But Janice had a plan of her own. She double-crossed us, a two-pronged stab in the back, and as Sean was on his way to make the exchange, he was ambushed and captured. But what Wallace didn't know was that Sean's footage was only a copy. The original was still with me. Wallace, feeling the walls closing in, made a calculated move. He released a copy of the footage to the public, a charade to paint himself as a hero. Wallace began questioning Sean, asking where he hid the real footage and where I was. But Sean wouldn't break, so Wallace threatened his family. It was a dirty move, but it worked. Sean cracked and revealed my location. Wallace immediately called Harry, ordering him to kill me. As public pressure mounted, Nathan was forced to undergo a surprise urine test. It was a nightmare, and he knew he was in deep trouble. But before the sample could be tested, an orderly appeared out of nowhere and handed him a fake sample to swab. It was all part of a larger, more sinister plan, orchestrated by Wallace, which resulted in Nathan being cleared. Soon after, a host of politicians and officials arrived to congratulate Wallace and Nathan. With the young man cleared, his father's presidential campaign reached its peak. They turned on the TV to watch the presidential debate, but something was wrong. A reporter starts talking about a live broadcast, a secret conversation between Nathan and Wallace being transmitted across the country. The mastermind behind the entire operation is none other than myself, the man they thought was down and out. Meanwhile, Harry was approaching my car, ready to finish me off, but he was ambushed unexpectedly by Janice's team. It was a shock, a backstab nobody saw coming. It was then revealed that Janice's betrayal was also part of my plan. I played a long game, a true mastermind, with a plan so insane it had to work. Harry was utterly broken, his empire crumbling around him, and his life ended that night. It was also revealed that Sean's arrest was no mistake, it was part of my plan. I knew Wallace would come for Sean for information, and I was ready for him. During the interrogation, Sean swapped Wallace's lighter for one with a bug. A single piece of evidence would bring him down. Wallace's entire world was collapsing around him. In a fit of rage, he lunged, hunting me. The two men finally met on a rooftop. The duel between the two former friends, a Yadong and a prosecutor, had begun. After the live broadcast, the aftermath was a mess. Nathan's father lost the public's trust, his political career in tatters. Nathan himself was a mess, his mind a battlefield. After being exposed on television, Wallace, on the other hand, could no longer evade the law. His time was up, and everyone knew it. His reign of terror was over. A downfall for the man who thought himself untouchable. In the final moments of the film, we see me returning to my true self, making a deal with Janice. I received a large sum of money, the reward for my efforts. But what I didn't know was that Sean was watching me from afar. Just as the deal was about to be finalized, a police raid occurred, and it was chaos. I grabbed the bag of money and ran, with Sean hot on my heels. Sean and I faced each other, but instead of making an arrest, we both burst out laughing. We had both found our own way to deliver justice on our own terms, outside a system that tried to destroy them. Sean and I decided to split the money, a final act of rebellion, a handshake between two men who had been through hell and back. That concludes my story. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching till the end, and see you next time.